Hey guys, Mr. Waltz here. I'm going to show you how to make your assembly drawing. So hopefully you completed this exploded view of your assembly. If not, do that first. There's a video here on YouTube. Um, so what we're going to do now is create a drawing. We're going to go to our file menu up here on the top. We're going to hit new drawing from design. And some stuff will happen. Over here on the right, it's going to say, do you want to create a drawing? What do you want? The full assembly? That's what we do want. We want to create new, and then for template, we want WPHSA. If you don't have the template, then click here where it says template. You should be able to choose it. If not, you can hit browse and then go find it. It should be in one of your projects. I think multi-view drawing is the one that we put that in. So anyways, so you get that template there, hit OK. And then what it's going to do is take you into this new drawing. And so here's the drawing environment, and it'll pop up. You'll have a view of your die, and we're going to do multiple things in here. We're going to show a front view, top view, and side view of our assembled die, so we can put overall dimensions. What those are for is basically you want to know, if you've got to ship this thing, put it in a box, how big of a box do you need? We also want to show an isometric view of it while it's assembled, so people know what the finished product looks like. And we're also going to show our exploded view so they know how to put it together and what the pieces are. Lastly, we're going to have a parts list, which shows the list of pieces you need in order to assemble one of these. And it's also going to have what are called balloons that label each part so you know which part each one is. Okay, so we'll do the easy stuff first, which is to do the front view, top view, right view. So orientation is going to be front. Style is visible edges. Usually in assembly views, you don't show hidden edges. We could if we wanted to, but let's just leave it off. And 1-to-1 should be fine to scale. So I'm going to go down here in the lower left corner and place that view. And then I should be able to hit OK. And then there's my view. I've got the front view of my die. They're going to create projected views. So I'm going to use a projected view tool. I'm also going to close this data panel because it's just taking up space on the screen right now. So anyways, this tool here, projected view, click on the front view, and then we're going to go up here. All right. And we'll get a nice top view of our cube. We're also going to go over here to the right. We'll make a right view of our cube. And then we're going to go up diagonally, top right, and make an isometric view. We can hit the green check mark. And there are our views. We want to shade this view. So I'm going to double click on this view, move my mouse over it, double click, and I'm going to choose a shaded view and then close that. Okay, cool. So now we've got our isometric shaded view of the whole thing. We've got front, top, and right. And we're going to put overall dimensions on here. So D for dimension, or you can click up here in the dimension tool. I'm going to put a height dimension down here on the front view. Put that right there. I'm going to put a width dimension here in the top view. And then I'm going to put a depth dimension over here in the right side view. Hopefully you remember what all those things are. Let's see, is it going to let me line that up? It wants to put it really far away. I'm going to line it up roughly with the other one. There, that's pretty good. And so this is just overall dimensions, so they know how big is this thing that we're telling them to make. And then we've got our isometric view right there. That looks good. So that's a basic representation of what they're supposed to make. And we'll add later, we're going to add other sheets to this that'll show how to make each part. So we'll have the dimensions for each of the 6 pieces that you designed on separate drawings. The other thing we want to add on this sheet is we want to put in the exploded view. So we created that exploded view. So we're going to go up here to our base view button. We're going to click base view. Over here where it says reference and representation, by default it has the model representation. We're going to choose storyboard 1. So instead of showing our assembly model, it's going to show our storyboard, which is our exploded view. So you click there, move your mouse back, and you can see you now have the exploded view in here. We're going to keep using 1-to-1 scale. For this one, you want to use shading. So I'll turn the shading on. And I'm just going to put this wherever I want, right about here. It looks great. And I can click OK. Okay, cool. So now we not only are showing them like what is this thing that we're making, but how do you put it together? How do the pieces go? So it shows all the pieces there. Now, the last thing we want to do is give them a way to identify what the pieces are. So for that, we're going to create what's called a parts list. And it's also going to have these things called balloons that put a tag on every piece showing what part number it is. So we'll go up here where it says tables, and you click on tables. There's an option here called parts list. And when you click parts list, it's going to say, well, what parts, what view do you want to use? And so you can see over here, it says parts list, select. So we're going to select the exploded view, click that. And then you can see what happens is on your mouse, a little chart appears, okay? And this is the parts list. And you can see it's kind of big. We could stick it in the top right corner. We could stick it in the top left. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go top left. Notice it'll snap itself in there. Also notice what it did is when I clicked, it created these balloons on the exploded view. Now everything's kind of messy right now. We're gonna have to do a little cleanup work, but this is really cool. We've got all this information here. So, anyways, you can see in here. Here's your parts list, and you can see it's got item numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it tagged all the parts with a number. QTY. It doesn't mean that they're cute. It means how many do you need. So you need one of each piece. Sometimes you might need multiples of something, and then it has the part number, a description, which is empty, and then the material, which is birch for my project. So what I want to do is I want to edit this because it's taking up a lot of space and some of this information is not what I want. So if you move your mouse over it, you'll see that it becomes highlighted like that. It becomes very black. If you get it there, you can double click. Once you double click, you get the little parts list tool over here, and structure, keep it as first level. Direction is down. Item is good. QTY is good. Quantity. Part number is fine, but really these are part names. So I'm going to choose the part name field, and I'm going to turn off part number just by clicking on it. And then description, well, it's empty. There's something, so you could go back and open these parts up, and you could, in their properties, you can add a description, but we didn't do that. So we're going to turn that one off. And then material, that looks fine. It's got birch. And basically whatever you made your parts, that's what it's going to be. So if you decided to do acrylic instead, you might want to go back into your parts, edit them so they have the correct material, then update the assembly, then update the drawing. It's a lot of work, but you could get it so they all show up with the correct material. If you want to leave material off, that's fine. I'm going to leave it on. Looks great. You could add the mass if you wanted. How many ounces are they? But this is fine. I'm going to hit close. Now this parts list, it actually looks pretty good right now. You can, if it's too big, you can see these columns are kind of wide here. Like this last one, especially material, you could click on it, and then these little dots, if you drag these, they'll let you make the columns narrower or wider. So I'm going to narrow this down. Material, oops, see that's too narrow. Bring it back. I can go over here and play with this. So I want to make this as small as possible. It's not that important, but it gives me more room to have all my views in here. Okay, cool. So that looks pretty good. The only problem is our balloons are a little messy. So we're going to go clean up our balloons. Now, here's the basic idea on balloons. You want them to touch the arrow. You want the arrow to touch the part. Usually want it to touch at a corner or like a central point. And the other thing you want is for your balloons to line up. So you can see down here on the bottom, the 1 and the 5 and the 2 are all in a row. Over here, the 6 and the 3 are in a row. So we try to make them as organized as possible. So let's just go work on it one at a time. Yours will be different, but you can just see how I do it. I'm just going to take this one and make it point more to the middle. That looks better to me. The 5 is fine. I'm not going to change that. This 2, I don't like it. You can just click on it, and then you get these little dots. You can drag these dots wherever you want on the part. I'm going to put that right in the middle there. That looks good to me. Now this 4 is really problematic. It's going off the page. And this 3 is also a problem. It's going into the side. So what I'm going to do is instead of having these be on the sides, I got all this room up on the top. Let's move them to the top. So I can take the 4, click on the arrow dot, drag that up to the top middle here, and then drag the 4 up here. Oops. Glitched out there for a second. Drag it up here. And then one thing you can do, I can even make this line up with the 2. So if I put it over the 2, and then go straight up, you can see it'll track it. And I can say, oh, I could put it directly above the 2. So it's nice and symmetrical. Over here, you could take the 6. I'm going to drag this up here to the top corner there. I'm going to drag the arrow up here. I want to line this up with the 4. So I put it over the 4, and you can see I get a little tracker. There is a rule of thumb in engineering that says you never want the arrows to go vertical or horizontal. I don't know where that comes from, but that's what I was taught when I was young. So I'm going to move this to the side so it has a little angle on it. And then the 3, I'm going to do the same thing. Grab the arrowhead. I'll put the arrowhead up here on the top middle. Let me zoom in a little more. And then I can grab the 3 balloon, highlight the 6, move over here, and then drop it. And then that is a pretty good exploded view. And this looks pretty good now. I'm going to give a little more room to this isometric. And again, it shows them the overall dimensions of the thing, shows them what it looks like when it's put together, shows them what pieces they need to make it, and how do you put them together. Down here, I'm going to address the title block. I got assembly, that's fine. For this drawing, we call this an assembly drawing. That's good. For the project, though, originally I started out doing reverse engineering. What I'm doing now is my dice. So I'm going to double click where it says reverse engineering, double click on the letters, and then I can go in here and type in, I'll say dice design, hit enter, and then you can, over here where it says finish properties, you can click there. Now I've got a really good drawing. So go on to the next video, and what we'll do now is we're going to add to this. We're going to add 6 more sheets. They will be a drawing sheet for each part of this. It'll have, multi-views and dimensions on it. And then once we get all that together, we'll make one big PDF file that contains all 7 sheets, and that's what we'll turn in for points. So good luck, have fun. See you in the next video.